Hello and welcome to Mental Health and COVID-19. I suppose just before we begin, my name is David and I work as the Wellness and Health Promotion Manager for DeCare. And DeCare are Ireland's only dedicated oral health, benefits and wellbeing company. So we do a few different things within Ireland. DeCare Dental, we are a benefits company and we do an insurance product for up to 500 organisations. We actually do wellness programs for close to 500 organisations, and we actually train in the healthcare sector, and we train in workplace wellbeing and mental health training with SkillsNet as well. I suppose with COVID-19 and the current kind of climate where this image might kind of be familiar to your life, we're trying to juggle lots of different things, and these times are challenging, but we will get through them. I suppose, again, we're looking at things like our work life at home at the minute, if we're working remotely, if we maybe have been laid off, our diet, and everything's been affected, gyms closing, we're still trying to get to dinner at home, all these different things, the kids are there, we're trying to really juggle our family life, and it can lead to a lot of anxiety and be a little bit overwhelming in the current climate. The first thing I really want to kind of hit home to is when this will lift and this will pass, and when it does, wellbeing will be a huge and play a massive role in recovery for our workplaces, in our strategies, in our workplace wellness programs. It's going to be crucial. But also when workers are working remotely and when we're adapting and changing, COVID-19, wellbeing plays a massive role in our lives now, and it's never been more important at an individual level. So what I would like to say to you is we need to be in a good state of physical, mental and emotional wellness to be able to work remotely and bring qualities like being creative, being innovative in your role, changing up your job. Maybe you've done it one way, bringing new ideas using different technologies, being creative and innovative, being perceptive in the current climate, being intuitive, being empathetic towards other people, co-workers, family members, but also being adaptable. And adaptable is probably one of the most important things, being able to change with COVID-19 and what's happening and what's moving at the minute. I suppose I use these two slides in a lot of my presentations, and I suppose what the biomedical model to health is it's health looking at the absence of disease. So you can see we're sick, we go to the GP, go to a hospital setting, and we kind of come out cured. The majority of people would look at health in this way. It leaves out things like psychological, social and environmental influences, which really impact our lives. And what we're seeing here now is this very much a layered ecological model to health. And you can see the red center is the person as a whole. It's a great model for organizations, for strategies, but particularly with COVID-19 at the minute. Look at that red area. That's yourself, your male, your female, your genetic things we can change, genetics, epigenetics about ourselves. The purple sector there, kind of individual lifestyle factors. Our sleep, what's our sleep like at the minute? Are we anxious? Are we stressed? Our diet, are we over consuming on calories at the minute? Our level of alcohol intake, physical activity. Our social and community networks are really compromised at the minute with social distancing. They really impact on our health. It's so important for us to connect, to stay connected with people through WhatsApp calls, social media, FaceTime, whatever it may be. Check on a loved one, check on an elderly neighbor, check on someone who's, you think that might be socially isolated or struggling through this time. You can see the green area are all the determinants, factors that bring across positive and negative changes in our health. Working and living conditions are above there, the working environment. Two crucial things that have changed for us over the last period of a few weeks. Working remotely, we had to kind of, everyone's kind of in the same boat. Some people have been laid off work, their level of education. They're really challenging times that we have to try and create a supportive environment in these kind of crucial times. The grey circle there, we're really looking at things like public policy with COVID-19, our environment. It's a global pandemic, it's affecting everybody. And these policy changes that we're seeing are there to protect us from government level down. I suppose to hit into mental health, it is a very anxious time for a lot of people. And what I would really like to say to you is, look at credible sources. 1 in 4 suffer from a mental health difficulty, 1 in 8 have lived with someone. 1 in 5 has a neighbour with a mental health difficulty or a co-worker, and 1 in 3 has a close friend. These are very real statistics, and in this time, this is almost heightened, that mental health is so crucial and so important. Take breaks from social media. Don't constantly be online. Look at, there's a lot of fake news out there. Look at credible sources like the Department of Health, the HSC, the World Health Organization. We've been told, facts minimize fear. And that leads to anxiety. If we're constantly tuned in, take breaks from these things, facts will minimize fear. There's so much propaganda out there in the media, and if we're tuned in 6-8 hours a day when we're at home, it does lead to an awful lot of anxiety. Mental health and mental illness. So I always say to people, everybody has mental health, regardless whether you have a mental health illness. And what we're concerned about is everybody's mental health and the positive promotion of everybody's mental health at this time. This includes things like, it's every single day we wake up, it will languish and flourish. So it will go up and down, myself included. You can feel anxious one day, people are going to have financial worries, kids at home, lots of different issues going on, social isolation, not seeing loved ones, not seeing family. But again, we have to place focus on ourselves, our loved ones, and our communities at this really challenging time. It will pass and we will get through it. And again, regardless if someone we do have mental health conditions on one hand, and then we have mental health on the other. Everybody has mental health, and that's what we're really concerned about, positive mental health throughout this time. I would ask you, as I speak over the next few sentences, just to think back in relation to your physical health over the last year. Stigma is one of these things that exists in organizations and societies and communities. And there's a lot of stigma about COVID-19 at the minute, particularly across the water. It's not a China virus. It's not any of this propaganda. If you know someone with COVID-19 or has been diagnosed with COVID-19, it's important for them to keep their distance, to self-isolate, and follow the guidelines that are put out there by the HSC. We don't want to stigmatize people, but also, as wellness will be part of recovery, as we begin to return to work over the next few weeks and months, what we do want to see is that we have a positive culture in our workplace where people are actually able to openly talk about their mental health and mental health problems and issues, and ask people, are they okay? Particularly communicate with people at this time, and co-workers and staff. And as an individual, take the efficacy upon yourself to reach out to people and ask people, are they okay? Are they struggling? As a culture in a nation, we're quite bad at that. So we really want to kind of make change in these times and be innovative. I'd ask you to think back over the last year and ask yourself when you last visited a doctor because of your physical health, when you last missed work because you maybe felt physically sick, or you've taken any medication because you felt physically unwell. And I think we've all taken the Nurofen and the paracetamol and all those different things. So I think we can all kind of raise our hands that we've all kind of done these things probably in the last year. We talk about these things really openly. We break an arm, a leg, playing sport, an ankle, we get a dose of flu or man flu or whatever it may be. And we talk about it going, God, that knocked me for 3 days. I was out of work, whatever it may be. God, I got a really bad dose. We talk about these things because they're accepted within our culture. They're accepted. We kind of almost talk about them very proudly. If I was to ask you now to look at your mental health, not your physical health, but when was the last time in the last year you spoke to a doctor or a counsellor in regard to your mental health? When did you maybe miss time from your college course or work because you felt mentally unwell? Or have you taken anything medication-wise over the last year to kind of deal because you weren't feeling mentally well? Again, I would ask you, a lot of the answers to this, we don't sometimes say. It's a very Irish culture, we're grand or we're okay. We don't really talk about some of these things, and we need to get better and open that conversation. We see brilliant initiatives like yoga and brilliant like emotional intelligence and resilience and mindfulness, great initiatives in the workplace. But before we do any of those things, or while we're doing those things, we do need to create a positive culture of mental health well-being, positive mental health for all. It's not a dirty word or a taboo word. It's a word just like physical health, and we want to get that positive message out there so people will talk and communicate and ask people, are they okay? And ask at this particular time, text your co-worker co-workers, your manager, if you're a manager or a team leader listening to this, it's really important to stay in contact and ask them, are they okay, out of goodwill. Some of the things we see here, you'd never say cancer, you'd never say it's just cancer, get over it. Or with heart disease, it's just another excuse for lazy people not to work. These are adult chronic conditions. We would never say those things about physical conditions. But with mental health, if someone's suffering with their mental ill health, they're saying, oh, you'd be grand, toughen up. There's a lot of stigma associated with mental ill health. We can see in the diagram on the right, everybody else seems so happy and normal. I wish I wasn't the only person with mental health issues. And again, unless we speak and talk about it, the other person that we're really close to might not even know that at all. We don't know what someone else is going through. So particularly with COVID-19 and in this challenging time, let's open up as a nation. Let's connect as human beings, and let's, speak about, I'm not feeling great today, but that's okay. I'll be okay tomorrow. I have financial worries. I have, I'm worried about my job, or, I have the kids at home and this is coming and one of them's doing the leaving cert, whatever it may be. Let's open up and talk about these problems, because a problem shared is really a problem halved. Words matter, and the words around mental health stigma is really, really important. We often use words like in the workplace, like, someone's they're a little bit psycho or a little bit mental, or, that one there is insane. We use this slang in our personal lives, in our work lives, and we have to stop. We have to get better. It's feeding mental health stigma. And particularly when COVID-19, when we do start to go back to work, but particularly at this time, we want a positive culture of mental health. We want it to be open and be able to talk about it in our society. And if I was to ask you one thing from this presentation, to stop feeding mental health stigma, let's not use these words. When I was growing up, we used to go to Extra Vision on a Friday night and, rent videos, and you can see the telly and the Walkman and all these. And then I went to a Discman, and now we've gone wireless and digital, how technology has changed. But we need to be mindful. We're talking about not weapons of mass destruction, but a psychologist once said weapons of mass distraction. Some of these apps will connect us, and will connect us with our loved ones within isolation, but we can't spend 8-10 hours a day on this. Take breaks. Don't look at false news. It's feeding anxiety, and it's not good for our mental health. Facts, again, minimize fear. Look at credible sources, the WHO, watch the news once a day. Look at the Department of Health, the HSC. Some of these apps are full of false news and constant scrolling and full of clickbait. We don't want to spend excessive time on this when we're at home. We don't want images like this. We want to connect. We're human beings. We want to, connect with our family, play games, paint, go for a walk. The importance of physical activity, it benefits every aspect of our mental health, whether while remaining, keeping with social distancing, getting out for that 30 minutes in the morning or in the evening, and, keeping your social distance, but it's so important for positive mental health. There's lots of apps, and the screen time feature, even myself, last week, I was nearly 8 hours a day online. We're constantly feeding ourselves. It's bad for our mental health. Turn on the screen time app on your iPhone or Android, and you'll be surprised at how much time you do spend online. Try and reduce that. Pop your phone in a certain place. Check it once or twice a day. Or, we don't need to be constantly logged on and looking at what's going on while we're kind of self-isolating and keeping our distance. There's a lot of positive apps online that we can kind of use for, from yoga to physical activity to headspace, for good mental health, that give us techniques and tools and skills that we can use to, to help relax and help benefit ourselves. A huge amount of companies and a huge amount of offerings offer employee assistant programs. Although we can't do face-to-face kind of counseling anymore, we do have video one-to-one, and we do have our phone calls. This is a really important access to use this at this time. If you're feeling anxious, challenged, financial issues, fear, anxiety about COVID-19, about what's happening in the next week, missing our families, our loved ones, talk. If you can't talk to a friend or a family member, utilize this. A lot of companies pay for like 6 to 8 sessions, and this is, regardless to what people think, it's not disclosed. It's a confidential service. So it's a very, very important tool to use and be aware of as well while working remotely at these difficult times. Again, sleep is so important, to be getting sleep, but you are what you eat. While working remotely, while we're working from home, we have our breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks in between. I'm not saying never have a scone, but we can see 350 calories there, with jam, butter, 500 calories. You know, have it as a meal. Don't have it with your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. All excess kind of bulk buying, calorie counting. Nuts are healthy, but some of them are quite high in fat. Limit your alcohol intake. Don't overindulge on the wine. Have it on the weekend. It is, a coping mechanism. Try to focus on more positive coping mechanisms, like, painting, arts and crafts, playing games, a new skill, a musical instrument, going for that physical activity, going for that walk. Limit alcohol intake, because it does cause us to become more anxious and does affect our mental health. Your average dessert there, 600-700 calories for one piece. Have your breakfast, your lunch, have your dinner. Limit kind of those things to once or twice a week, because it's an excessive amount of calories to be taking. And again, if anyone is bulk buying your pizzas, or there's these large popcorn kind of things you can buy in the supermarkets now, popcorn cinemas, heavy on calories as well. So just be aware of that we're not kind of over consuming, because it does make us feel, sluggish. It's affecting our mental health. And over the period of the few weeks, it will affect your BMI also. Some kind of really positive skills just to take away from today, from watching this. Connect. If you haven't been on to anybody, a friend, a neighbor, a relative, haven't connected with someone, pick up the phone, ring them, call them. Now's the time to really, we need to kind of get better and protect, ourselves, our loved ones, our communities. Connect with people. Be active. I've said it again, but physical activity benefits every aspect of mental health. Let's get out there while keeping social distancing. Let's keep the physical activity going, because it benefits every aspect of our health. Take notice, also called mindfulness. We can take notice of the sky, the trees, the weather, everything that's around us. Tune out a little bit from the phone and all the news and COVID-19 and what's happening. Take a little bit of time for us. Have a bath, read a book, just to have that kind of clear mind space. Keep learning, learning a new skill, learning something. It's a perfect time now, innovating, changing your role in work. There's lots of different things that we can be doing. Give is another one, and that's a massive thing about mental health. And it's not about presents or whatever it may be, but where I'm living locally at the minute, they had on our Facebook group to put a teddy bear in the window. Is very much like fairy doors, so when kids came passing in the evening, they could kind of look at the teddy bears when they went for their walk. Also, sometimes when we go out for the physical activity with social distancing, people are crossing over roads and crossing back. It's the human connection. Don't be afraid to smile and wave at someone and actually connect with them, because it's so important, particularly in these challenging times where we're keeping our distance. Self-care equals success. Look after yourself. You'll be able to look after your family, to kind of thrive in your work, be innovative, creative in your job, and be adaptable to change. At DeCare, we do a lot of different wellness programs. We have skills and accredited programs for small business in Ireland, where we train in workplace wellbeing, mental health. We offer lots of different wellbeing clinics, oral health checks, health screening, parenting seminars, diet nutrition programs. And, very lastly, we will get through this. These are challenging times, but we will come out of this, and we will get back to normal again. And it's important to take every single day, just take one day at a time. And to leave you with a positive quote there, just to end, at the minute, you can't change the direction of the wind, but you can adjust your sails. And at the minute, we can't change what's happening with a global pandemic with COVID-19, but we can choose our thoughts and how we react to that. And we're going to have worries like financial worries, well-being, connecting with loved ones, social, distancing with isolation, but we can choose how we will react to that. So I'd like to leave you with that positive message today, and thank you for listening to me.